What's up, YouTube? Welcome to ExceedTheHype.com. It's your boy Lucrecio coming at you with another video. Alright, so this video is going to be a little bit different than my normal type of video. This one I'm going to give you what I call my bold strategy for defeating the Golden State Warriors. Alright, let me first give you the 3 keys I think are important to defeating the Warriors. Key number 1, discipline. So the Warriors come at you in bunches. It's a bunch of haymakers. All of a sudden 12-0 run, 15-0 run like that. But then it's not necessarily consistent. They don't necessarily keep pounding. They hit you with a haymaker and then they kind of dance a little bit as if it's boxing or whatever. So I believe you have to be disciplined. When OKC played them in the Western Conference Finals last year, OKC was very good at that, at withstanding the blows. So I think that's one factor. Slowing the pace is another big factor. The Golden State Warriors will force you to take your bigs out of the game. They force you, well, they don't force you, but they kind of lure you into playing small ball with them. And then when you fall for the trap, they kill you. Basically because you can't play small ball like them. They have too many shooters, they have too many weapons. So that's another factor. You have to slow the pace down. You have to be disciplined, key 1, enough to keep the pace slow. So key number 3 is having long, versatile wing defenders. Because most of the work Golden State does is out on the wing, or out on the perimeter. So you need multiple defenders, about 6'4". They don't even have to be that tall, 6'4", 6'7", 6'8", whatever the case may be. You need them to be pretty good defenders, but you need them to be athletic enough to keep Golden State out of the lanes or whatever, and to be able to switch on everything. So those are my 3 keys that I think are necessary to beating the Warriors. All right, so let's get into my strategy. So we're going to start off with, after watching game 1, with the person who was most detrimental to the Cavaliers in game 1. And that person is Kevin Durant. So what I would do, and it's kind of a 2-part, because I'm going to mention first, I'm going to get into this later, but I'm going to mention first, the first thing you have to do is not allow Curry to play how he played in game 1. Curry had 28, 10 assists, 0 turnovers in game 1. He played an outstanding point guard game. He did exactly what they needed him to do. You can't allow that. If Draymond is going to be the main playmaker for their team, so be it. But what you cannot have is the ability to allow them the ability to keep Curry involved in the offense by being the main distributor and not forcing them to make any mistakes and having Durant going off offensively. That combination is too detrimental to your team. So you have to be able to stop something. So first, I'm going to mention, and then I'm going to go right into I'm going to mention that they need to bring back the Curry traps. Every time Curry has the ball, he needs to see 2 defenders coming at him every single time. All right, but table that for a second. We'll get into it later. So Kevin Durant, how do you stop him? Well, the way you don't stop him, well, you can't. And especially the way you don't stop him, you don't waste your best player trying to guard him the whole game. You don't use your best player like that. That doesn't make any sense. What I would do with Kevin Durant, I would make a dedicated Kevin Durant defender, right? So let me give you what that defender must be. He must be a tall, long defender and a technically sound defender. He doesn't have to be a great lockdown type defender, because you're not going to lock him down. You're not going to shut him down. You're not going to do very much to KD. He's still going to score his points. But what you want to be is technically sound. So you have to have the right footwork. You have to have the right positioning. You have to understand. You have to be willing to get out there and do the dirty work. So technically, the sound defender, tall, long arms. That's one thing. 2. In this case, the guy who fits that category will be Richard Jefferson or a Derrick Williams if Derrick Williams isn't scared of the matchup. Even Iman Shumpert could help out in this situation. The purpose of this guy would be to stick with KD and do exactly what Shea and Battier did back in 2012, which is face guard him. your hand here. You don't contest the shot. You're not tall enough to contest the shot. You won't help. You won't bother the shot too much. You want to get your hands here in their face, block their vision, and also it's very hard to just shoot with. It's uncomfortable. So you want to try to make Kevin Durant as uncomfortable as possible. So you just want to face guard him. That's what Shane Battier did when they played in the finals. Who's to say whether it was effective? It doesn't actually, it's irritating. It doesn't necessarily bother the shot because if you're a shooter, it's mostly mechanics anyway. But it's irritating. It's a way to irritate the shot. All right, so also, basically this defender's job is to stay connected with KD the whole game. Not switching off. You're not switching defenders on KD anymore. You're not doubling. This guy is stuck to KD the whole game, right? So that means if it's off-ball screens, you're going under every screen. Your job is to stick with KD. You're not going to shut him down. That's not even your job to try. You are just the dedicated KD defender. So you're following him around the court, and you're just trying to get a contest, trying to get your hand in his face. Just to try to irritate the shot as much as possible, but you also got your footwork, and you have to be long so you can keep them from driving. You don't keep them out of the lane. You don't want them to get easy buckets. All right. So moving on to the next thing. The point of this is to entice Golden State to play a lot more ISO, because obviously, if you see Richard Jefferson on KD, that's obviously barbecue chicken, as Shaq and Charles Barkley would say, for Kevin Durant. The point of putting that single defender on him and leaving him on him, you know he's going to get scored on a lot, right? But what it does is Kevin Durant is not going to get a lot at the basket. He's not going to really put you in the post. He's going to ISO. At heart, he's an ISO scorer. And that's what you want to try to exploit. You want to give him, not them, because they want the ball movement, the off-ball screens, the motion. They want all that stuff. He wants to be, deep down, wants to be an ISO defender because that's what he is. That's what he's been his whole life. So you want to try to exploit that by giving him a matchup that he can go at and literally score on every single possession, even though he won't. But the point of giving them that situation is that they're gonna keep feeding them the ball, and it's gonna be slower possessions. So that's another way to slow the pace by giving KD what he wants, which is that single defender. He's gonna cross him up. He's gonna put him all over Sports Center. He's gonna score 40, 50, whatever the case may be. But it's gonna be slow. It's gonna be ISO ball. All that ball movement, all that off-ball screens and cuts and all that stuff would go away because KD would be ISOing this favorable matchup. And also, since that guy is a pretty good defender, maybe he can try to force KD to shoot a low percentage or whatever. We'll see. But that's how I would do with KD. I would let him I'll put one defender on him, one long defender, face guard him, and just let KD go to work on that guy, because that'll mess up their offense, the Golden State offense, of what they want to do. So that's what I would do with KD, is kind of just letting KD go with that one defender. The second thing would be, and I mentioned this earlier, to trap Steph Curry every time he has the ball. So on a high screen and rolls or whatever that they try to run for Curry, two defenders, hard trap, try to get a strip. Anytime he catches the ball, wherever, you send two defenders rushing at him. The point is to get that ball out of his hands as soon as possible. He cannot be the playmaker for this team in this situation. He just can't be. He's still gonna get some points or whatever. You can't always stop him from scoring, but he's gonna see those two defenders coming at him the whole series. All right, and then we also would want to bring soft traps to Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson is out of rhythm right now. He's not playing well, but we don't want him to get in rhythm because he would be the one to save the day for them. So what you want to do, you want to bring the soft traps. You want to show them to defenders but quickly recover, because if you can make them put the ball on the floor, that's a good thing. I personally don't believe Klay's strength is being able to take a defender off the dribble to the basket or to post a defender or whatever. He could post a little bit, but I would take my chances with that type of offense than him getting off a quick three-pointer, right? So we want to get Klay. We want to show him to defenders, but we want the second defender to recover quickly back to your man. All right. And the other thing is, and we saw this a little bit in game one, is we want to return LeBron to covering space and not necessarily Durant or a particular matchup. So they did that last game by putting them on Zaza Pachulia and having them roam like he did last year, and that's in my opinion what you want to do. The intended results of this strategy, if employed, would be Kevin Durant would probably have a career series because he will score at will on the defender. However, from all the ISO work, maybe it's a good chance he'd shoot inefficiently from the field, and he would take a lot of shots and they would use up a lot of clock. The overall pace of the game would be slower because on one side you got KD attacking Richard Jefferson or attacking whoever is guarding them because it's an easy matchup, and it'll take. And that's a slower offense than, say, a backdoor cut or whatever for a layup. And also, on the Cleveland side or whoever, I think the way to attack Golden State is also through ISO. I think in Cleveland's case, with Kyrie Irving being the best ISO player in the league possibly, and LeBron also being one of the best, also with them spacing the floor and having LeBron have the ability to take his man one-on-one to the basket, I think that's their best chance of defeating Golden State. But it starts defensively. I think you trap Curry, you bring as much defensive attention to Curry as possible. You have a designated person for Durant, and you kind of let Durant ISO all he wants to against that one defender. Because of that, the game will be slower, and you have a better chance to defeat the Warriors. All right, let me know what your comments are. If you think it's a ridiculous strategy, if you think it could work, why you think it could work, whatever. Subscribe, like the video. All right, see you next time.